YouTube and there's hundreds of people listening. But if there's just a few of us, then it's sometimes nicer to have them on the Zoom so I can see you and we can discuss. Because discussion, I think, is important because so many things can be understood in not quite the right way. I don't know what happened. Oh, here it is. So we will look at these 20 verses of Nagarjuna and then see if you are in any way kind of, how come it's not appearing? I have a new computer. I don't really understand that thing so well yet.
Morning.
Good morning.
Losang Lam.
Who is behind the phone? Varda.
Yeah. But I'm walking, so I'm listening on walking.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Bye.
Now. Somehow the system is a bit different. Can you see the text now? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so we do this because this, if you want to, this is the dedication at the end of this beautiful text, the Ratnavali, Joel Garland, I think it's called in English. And so it can be used as an aspiration, it can be used as a motivation, it can be used as a dedication. And especially when you are a little bit discouraged with your Bodhisattva or Bodhichetta practice, it really helps to lift us up. And then also, he says, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. And we say, well, I would like to do this, or I'm inspired by doing this. This is the goal, I'm going there. So we understand that we are in training and we're not able to do this, but that this is the goal and we have to start somewhere. So, with these high ideals, yeah, it's good. But you can also kind of break yourself. And sometimes it's also good to see, this bodhicitta, it's not some kind of divine commandment from the Buddha who says you have to develop bodhicitta. This has to be developed totally voluntarily by seeing the benefit of it. And you say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I remember first time I heard about bodhicitta, I thought like, wow, this is amazing. This is such a noble and a beautiful mind because there's nothing that is better than that, really. I'm not saying that so that you develop it, but I understood it in that way. There's nothing higher and more noble than this, wanting to benefit others and not choosing. You see, bodhicitta in a way is like, it's very simple because you don't have to choose this one yes and this one no. Sometimes you will have to choose because there's too many people, that is true. But you're not choosing on the point of, attachment and aversion. You're choosing on the point of whom can I help the best and who needs it most. Not, oh, he's my friend, so he comes first. Children is another matter. Your children always come first. So please, because otherwise they get very insecure unless your children are very realized. Again, it's like, it's always a yes spot to the whole thing. But if if you're still young and you really think like, wow, this is such a beautiful practice, this is what I want to practice, maybe also, better not to have a family and children, because then you can give your whole energy to whomever needs it. As I said, we can already try to help in whatever way we can. So like me, for example, I have no family, I have no friends, I have a lot, but it's like, not the worldly friends in a way, but so I have no family, I have no children. So if somebody needs me, I'm not disappointing somebody who is counting on me, or I'm not letting somebody down who that I should care for because I'm their mom. So in a way, but it's also family and children are very good for your practice also. So again, here it's no black. Okay. So therefore, each day, 3 times a day, before a statue, stupa, or elsewhere, you should perform the recitation of the following verse. If you want to develop bodhicitta, okay? Honoring in all ways the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and also the Bodhisattvas, I take refuge in them and pay homage to those worthy of homage. I turn away from all negativity and embrace all merit. I rejoice in all the merit amassed by all sentient beings. As I said, their attitudes, yeah? This is what we want to attain. With bowed head and palms together, I beseech all perfect Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma and remain as long as beings remain. Through the merit of doing this and the merit of have done and will do, may all sentient beings be endowed with unsurpassed bodhicitta. May all sentient beings have immaculate faculties and transcend the unfree states. May they control their own actions and life be bright and live by bright livelihood. May all embodied beings have jewels in their hands, and may a limitless amount of all kinds of necessities remain inexhaustible for as long as cyclic existence endures, without destroying the planet. At all times, may all people born of low status become supreme persons. May all beings be endowed with intelligence and legs. So maybe here, this verse, just to warn you, because in some other translations, I think the original says, may all women be born men. Hey, when we hear that as ladies, then how do we react? Why do you think he's saying that?
I laugh. For me, it's funny.
Very funny. Yeah. If you don't know what, this is what I'm saying. Very often we have to look behind what it means before we kind of go like, what? Yeah, Edouard.
Maybe because of the status of women at the time, I guess, in India.
Yeah, exactly.
And even today.
Even today, a little bit, because it's, women suffer more. It's like, and it's not they deserve it or whatever. It's just a fact. It's a bit like this, but as you say, it's especially because at that time of the Buddha and Nagarjuna, it was very difficult for women to go into a spiritual life. Women had to stay home and look after the children. Now, Nagarjuna is not saying that this is right? And also, but now when we look in the West, it's actually more women who are doing spiritual practice than men in general, because men is, as you say, okay, let's get down to something serious than just playing around here. Yeah, that's the attitude of men. So maybe with time, as women's status changes and as women's possibility to do spiritual practices becomes more easier, then maybe that can be changed into may all men be born women. But it's not the gender. It doesn't matter. It's more the attitude and the possibilities, like the status of a woman or of a man, and then also the ability. But everybody has Buddha nature, so there's no way that the Buddha would have said, no, only men can become a Buddha. First, you have to be reborn as a man to become a Buddha. But at that time, it's much more. It was easier to practice as a man than as a woman. Okay, and even still, when I became a nun and we went to Ladakh, none of the young girls wanted to become nuns because they had no resources. They were living under appalling conditions, sometimes in the stable with the cows. And slowly, I was very happy that I was there to be able to help to revive the status of the nuns a bit, and to find sponsors for young nuns to be able to go and study in Dharamsala. So it wasn't in the whole of India like that, but in Ladakh, it was really, like 30 years ago, it was really very, very difficult. And the girls said, oh, I'd rather go to university. Thank you. I don't want to become a nun. Now they have, they're becoming geshimas and all this. So now it's slowly changing. Yeah. So we mustn't forget also, you see the Tibetans, it's such a closed country. So from Tibet to the West, it's like 500 years, and they had to do this in 50 years. So some of them with their views about women and all this are still quite some of the older, even lamas, are still quite like 500 years ago, as it was in our place here. Dina, does it make more sense now? If you say something, either you have to put it in the chat or say, or if not, maybe she was so shocked that she just left. He said, no, thank you very much. I don't want to hear any of that stuff anymore. And it's true, you know, sometimes things are being said, they're so outrageous that you go like, what? Yeah, this is why it's good to voice your doubts, and it's good to say, I'm not happy with this. I could have just left it, you see, and then we wouldn't have had this sometimes bit uncomfortable discussion. But because in case you read another translation and then you go, oh, why does it say like this here? If you read the Sutra of the Golden Light, then also it's in there, may all women become men, you know, but not aggressive men, okay, but like men with, like the Buddha.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I still find it very amazing that, or maybe I think there is a big contradiction between what all the things that the Buddhism teaches us about and what we should inspire to become, that women only recently can become geshes. I mean, this doesn't go with Buddhism.
You're totally right. You're totally right. The Buddha didn't teach that. But you see, not all Buddhists are a Buddha. We're very much like Tomea was saying, it's society, it's culture, and all this. Yeah, it's a huge contradiction, but we are happy that it's changing now.
Yes.
You know? So, but it is a contradiction, as you say, totally. But don't forget that, as I'm saying, don't expect all the Tibetans. You see, the Tibetans, they don't have the Buddha Dharma in their genes. There also some are very developed, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Why is he so advanced? Because he's had so much contact with Westerners, and he has met Western women that he sees that they are very capable, and we can't, you know, continue to treat them like this. Whereas all the geshes who've been in Ladakh the whole time, you know, they're kind of also, they're not enlightened yet. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. We are all just training. Some are very advanced and some are not. Edouard, what would you like to say?
Yeah, we tend to idealize things. You know, just suffice to see, for instance, that even Buddhist monks can realize hatred in ways that are unfathomable. For instance, what's been going on in Myanmar in the past years with you know, Buddhist heads of monasteries teaching hatred against Muslims. And if you look at the history of monasteries in Japan and other places, you had Buddhist warriors, you know. So it's not, as you said, people have not realized it yet. So we should not idealize things, I guess.
Exactly. We should just take it and look what it means for us, and not so much what others do with it. Although we need inspiration, so we look at the people who are, you know, who inspire us, and the others, well, we just that's it. It's good to see that Buddhism is like a mirror, you know, like what the Buddha taught. We should look what am I doing with this, not but like a window that you look what others do, and not to throw out the whole thing because people don't behave, that they don't behave the way they should behave or what the Buddha says. I think it's really good to see, as we started at the beginning, you know, we have these ideals of wanting to become liberated and enlightenment. We have these ideals, but still sometimes also we're not really doing what the Buddha says, most of the time, by the way. So we can see how difficult it is, and then we start to understand. And this is what Venerable Rubina at one point, and it was very helpful because it was at the time of Bush. It wasn't Trump then, it was Bush. And so she said, like, you know, if you see people with power doing things that you criticize, it's good to say, as Edouard and me, both of us, as we are saying, not to beautify it, just to say, is wrong, and this is it, just to say, this is wrong. I will never behave like this, because then your anger dies down. And then sometimes we see, oh, but I am behaving like this sometimes. Yeah. So when you see somebody doing something that is contradictory to what Buddhism says, it's okay to say this is wrong. This is fine, And then you add, but I may, at least I cannot guarantee that I will not behave like this if I am in power. I'm quite happy that I'm not have too much power, really. Power is very, very dangerous to then abuse it. So they say, may I never behave like that. Yeah? And we can also see how uninspirational this is. And if we want to help the Buddha Dharma, if you want, bring people to practice the Dharma so that they also can apply antidotes to their negative minds, then we have to be inspiring. We can't behave in such a way. Yeah, but yeah, you are totally right. It is. Oh, maybe I would. It's funny, when you go share the screen, then usually the texts that are open appear below, but they kind of don't. And then I have to go into here. Nah, okay. But just a little bit of the system. There's also something constantly changing the systems in their computers. So people like me,
But maybe you can use side mode. If you go to view, you can do side by side, so we can see you and see the text.
I don't know how to do that. Okay, let's just continue. The mode in Zoom, or what do you mean?
You said on the right hand, on the top right, you can see view.
Yeah, I'll do it in the break. Maybe I'll try.
Okay.
Thanks for dinner. Let's do that verse again. At all times, may all people born of low status, because this makes more sense, isn't it? Everybody, it doesn't matter, because there are cultures where women are more powerful, and there are other cultures where men are more powerful. Became supreme persons. And it means really all beings, not just a few like we have now. We have a few with power and others with no power. May all beings be endowed with intelligence and legs. Probably that means human. May all beings have a good complexion and also a good physique. May they be radiant and pleasant to behold, free of illness, and may they be strong and live long. Again, it's not because you want to become Miss Universum that the good physique and be beautiful, but it's easier for people who are beautiful to be attractive. They don't have to prove that they're especially good heart or whatever when they are attractive, even though it's no guarantee that they have it. So to have both, a healthy, good-looking body and a good heart. May they gain expertise in skillful means and become free of all sufferings. May they be devoted to the 3 rare sublime ones and have the great treasure of Buddha Dharma. May they be adorned with love. Here also, may they have the great treasure of Buddha Dharma. It doesn't mean that all Jews have become Buddhist, all the Christians have to become Buddhist. No, they should have the view of the Buddha Dharma, the view of understanding the 2 levels of existence. Conventional reality, where is dependent arising and where, the law of cause and effect is working. Then the ultimate level, the ultimate nature, the emptiness, that nothing exists from its own side, and that these 2 levels go together, that you cannot separate them. Whatever is existing, is arising dependently, is also empty. Whatever is empty also has to be arising dependently, because otherwise it cannot exist. You cannot have emptiness without anything. Emptiness is also dependent. Yeah, so that's what it means. And also that only through love, compassion, and wisdom, we will attain that goal that all beings are well and happy and are free from suffering. This is what it means. So we could say here, may all beings find ways and means to free themselves from suffering and the causes of suffering, like forever. Yeah. So it's not about converting people to become Buddhists. Anyway, you cannot convert somebody if they don't want to become a Buddhist. This is ridiculous. You have to decide if you want to practice. Message, whatever you see on the screen, it's not in charge of your computer. I know. May they, but sometimes it's different. May they be adorned with love, compassion, joy, the ability to remain equanimous in the face of hardship, generosity, ethical conduct, fortitude, joyous effort, meditative stability, and wisdom. Thus adorned, may they complete all the collections and obtaining brilliant signs and marks. May they traverse without hindrance the 10 grounds to the inconceivable. These few verses that we just said, may they, may they, may they, did you include yourself there spontaneously, or did you say that with an attitude a bit, they yes, but me no? Or I will make them have all these things, or something like that. Yeah, we have this tendency to separate ourselves from others. So then it's really important with Bodhichtta that we are always included. So instead of saying they, we should actually say, may we all be adorned with love, compassion, joy, the ability to remain equanimous, and so on. May I also be adorned with these good qualities and all others as well. May I become free from all thoughts, and may I attain supreme love for all beings. May I perfect the virtues to which all beings aspire, and may I always dispel the sufferings of all beings. Here's me. I take responsibility to do these things. In all worlds, may all beings who are feeling anxious due to fear become completely fearless merely by hearing my name. From seeing and thinking of me, and from merely hearing my name, may beings become clear-minded, undisturbed, and at ease. So with this free from fear, there's this deity which is called Tara, which I have on my screen, like you can see her. And it is said that she liberates from all fears. And this is sometimes almost quite, if you practice it and if you use her, it's almost miraculous sometimes, you know, when you are overcome by fear and you start to recite Tara mantra, the fears are dying down. The situation is still the same. It's not that she is able to change the situation outside. She's not omnipotent, but she brings us together with our inner Tara, and then we calm down, and then we can react in a better way. We talked about this last night in the center here, because the topic is fear. So we were sharing stories about people having, it was just Jean-Paul and me, both of us, when we were afraid, and when we did think about practicing Tara, and the fear disappeared somehow. So they have some power over us, especially to wake up our positive potential when we, as he says, merely hearing my name. So it's like we have to bring them into our minds by either remembering them, seeing a picture, somebody tells us, or whatever. May it be definite that they will awaken, and in all their future lives, may they attain the 5 super knowledges in all ways. May I always do what brings benefit and happiness to all beings. This is very beautiful. Yeah? Like, may they be well, but then also may I be able to contribute. May I always dissuade all at once, all those beings of any world who intend to engage in negativity without doing them any harm. This is really my favorite verse, because we all would like to be able to help others. As Dina was saying, she would like to help these people, but then, sometimes we have to almost harm them, or sometimes we think they have to change, but then we want to change them with anger or whatever. So this is such a beautiful verse, May I be able to help others when they start to engage in negativity, so that they stop to engage in negativity, not just to help the victims, but also helping others who are very negative and aggressive. May I be able to stop their aggressiveness without doing them any harm. There's one of the 21 Taras, it's the 10th one, who subdues with laughter. That's a very nice one. Sometimes when somebody starts to laugh, but not in a nasty way, but just in a very free and light way, the whole anger and the whole heavy energy just disappears when there's an argument or something, and all of a sudden one of the people who is, like this starts to laugh, it's all gone. So we can stop others' negativities or aggression with non-aggression. Sometimes it needs some aggression. Like the earth, water, fire, wind, wind, and fire, medicinal herbs, and the trees in the wilderness, may I always freely be an object of enjoyment by all beings as they wish. So here today, we could maybe say a shopping mall, something like that. May I be beloved of beings, and may they be more beloved to me than myself. We like to be loved, because when people like or love us, we can help them in a better way because they trust us. But that shouldn't be, I want to be loved. That shouldn't be the purpose. Purpose should be in order to help them in a better way. And may they be more beloved to me than myself. This is Bodhichtta. Yeah. May I love others more than myself. The same way you love your children. Your children's happiness for a parent is more important than your own happiness. Very spontaneously. So it shows that we can do it. We just have to expand it to all beings. May I bear the results of the negativity, and may they have the results of all my virtue. A parent, a father, he would undergo an operation if it would prevent the son from being operated. He would take the suffering, even of a punishment. A parent would be able to take the punishment of a child if the parent would understand that this is beneficial for the child. If it's not beneficial for the child, then what's the point? But the readiness to do it is there. So the readiness to do everything we can for others is developed to always be there, the same way as the readiness for your children is always there. But it has to be combined with wisdom. Is it good for the other person? Yes or no? So again, what we are developing is just the attitude wanting to do something. When we see that this in long run is not helpful, we don't do it. So it has to be combined, compassion and wisdom. As long as there is even one sentient being somewhere who is not yet free, may I remain in the world for that being's sake, even if I've attained fearless awakening. If the merit of making such statements, you see, just the attitude, just saying that, because it creates such strong imprints on our mind, were to be material, it would not fit into worlds as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges. This is what the Blessed One said, and the reason is here to be seen. The worlds of beings are immeasurable, and the intention to end them is like wild. Okay. All right. So, so we have two enemies. You know what they are or who they are.
Self-cherishing.
Mm-hmm. And
self-grasping.
Exactly. Grasping at the self, like that's the first one, a self arises in us. It seems as if we have a separate, permanent, autonomous, existing from its own side, independent self, like a third entity, something that we add to body and mind. Yeah, it seems like that. Then we hold it, we grasp it as real. Like you wouldn't try to hold a rainbow, for example, even though it appears as if it's real colors. You would just leave it. It appears. The appearance is not the problem. Yeah. The problem is that we mistake it for being real. That is the problem. Appearance is fine. If you recognize an appearance for an appearance, even if it's really bad, you go to these mirror cabinets where you appear very slim or very, very, very fat. You look at it and you laugh because, it's not true. It's not real. By the way, I always loved the mirrors in India because in there I always appeared more slim than I was. I don't know why, but the mirrors in India, they make you quite nice and slim. So I knew it was not true. This is the funny thing. I knew it was not true. Still, I liked it. So anyway, that one. And also, you know, with the new computer, I think when I was looking at myself, I thought like, wow, look, 20 years younger when the light is on at night. You don't see my wrinkles. So this is also just total illusion. So holding it for real, grasping at it. So that's the first one. And then we cherish it. We hold it as more dear than the I or the self of others. But there is a self, okay? So don't fall into that if you hear this for the maybe first time or you haven't heard it so often. We do have a self. We have a conventional self, the label or the name that we give to this combination of body and mind. Or, you know, the conventional self, it knows who you are. But if we are, how to say, if you know who you are, if you look at facts, it is not I who knows who I am, it's memory. Yeah. Or yeah, you see what I mean? You see, the I is just, it's just a name, it's just a label. It's always something, yeah, it's just a sec. It's always something, it's always either the body or the mind who is doing something. Yes, say no.
And this I change, and this I is changing according to where you are, what you do. You can be a teacher or a mother or a friend. This I is changing.
Yeah, and yeah, that's another point. It feels as if it's unitary, it's only one. Yeah. So if it can be a daughter or a mother at the same time, it's not logic. You know, if there's only one I, you would have to have many eyes. You go and see your mom, then the I daughter or the daughter I comes out. You go and back home to your children, then the mother I comes out. But the feeling of having an I seems we only have one, but we have many. But it's the, you know, what makes you a daughter. Can you be a daughter independently?
I don't know, but I know that my daughter-in-law, she told me that when they come here, the behavior of my son changes.
Okay. But you know, the question is, can you be a daughter independently? You cannot, because you need parents in order to call yourself a daughter. Can you be a mother independently? So this goes the other way, yeah? Like, in order to call yourself a mother, you need children, so you can't be an independent mother. Also, you know, talking about independence, this whole thing about, it's such an illusion that we think we're independent. When people tell me, oh no, well, I don't want to go into an old people's home because I lose all my independency. We're not independent. We're so depending on others doing their job, being kind to us, you know, like guiding us, the banks, the governments, the medicinal system and all this. We're totally depending on others. And we have this feeling that I'm independent. Yeah, we have maybe some little bit of independency, but very, very little. If we would be alone, that's another reason for developing bodhicitta, by the way. If we would be alone, we wouldn't be able to survive. We wouldn't even have born. How can you be born without sperm and egg? And even if it's chemical sperm and egg, somebody still has to do them. So it's like, you know, and by understanding this, it makes us feel connected. This is a very good antidote to depression, by the way, to see how connected we are to others. Then, because in depression, the I becomes very big. This also I know, because I had it when I had menopause and after drinking also. So it's like, it becomes very big and there's no space for anything else anymore. Just me, I. And the bigger it gets, the worse the depression becomes, kind of feeding itself, the I and the depression. Then when you think, but hey, I'm not the only one, you know, who is depressed right now, or may all beings be happy, or it could be much worse. If you think these kind of thoughts, it really helps. Yeah, but not, of course, it's not a miracle, not boom like that. You have to think this again and again and again and again, and then your thoughts that are more close to reality, you know, are getting stronger than the thoughts about you know, the thoughts you have in depression. They're totally unreal. I'm so bad. I will never be happy again. I never achieve anything. Nobody loves me. I'm totally alone. You know, these are you familiar with these thoughts? Do you have them sometimes? Yeah, exactly. So they're not real. You are not alone. So what I sometimes do when we start the meditation, I tell people, you know, we develop it Bodhichtta, I tell people to just visualize all the walls of the houses, all the walls of the houses, all the mountains, all other walls, everything that is a visual obstacle disappears, and the world becomes flat. You know, there's no more visual separations between us. How can you say you're alone? You know, and then we see we're just one tiny spot, like a grain of sand on the beach. You know, imagine, you know, all these grains of sand on the beach would behave like we do. Hey, I'm alone, and this is my space. Go away. No, it wouldn't work. Yeah. So this is very, very helpful. So the problem is and especially in depression, we very, very strongly grasp at this self, you know, at this self-existent I. It becomes very, very strong. And it's not helpful. So we have to loosen it. So the other one is the self-cherishing, yeah? So the two kinds of bodhicitta, you know, you're all Dharma students. So do you remember the two kinds of bodhicitta? You don't have to raise your hand. You can just open your microphone.
Relative and ultimate?
Yeah. So these are just two words. Can you maybe
Elaborate.
elaborate?
The ultimate, I think it's about emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is like all beings be happy. No?
Yeah, like about compassion. More like it's relative means is like everything exists as a dependent arising. You know, conventional truth. And of course, in there's also a lot of compassion. So then, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm a bit confused because I'm still kind of with my computer thinking about this one here. Yeah, relative bodhicitta, you're right, Hila. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was into the two truths instead of being into the two bodhicittas. So the relative bodhicitta is a kind of practicing, trying to do whatever you can in order to attain enlightenment, to bring others to that state. And as we are on this path to do, you know, to help them, to be kind, not to harm them, and so on. That's the conventional bodhicitta. Yeah, you're totally right. So the ultimate bodhicitta kind of weakens the grasping or the believing in a self. And the relative bodhicitta weakens the self-cherishing because we are trying slowly to put others' happiness before our own happiness. Yeah. So the more we do that, the less we have self-cherishing. Is that what I'm saying absolutely true?
I don't know.
Huh? That by putting others' happiness before our own, our self-cherishing lessens? That's what the Buddha says.
It depends how developed we are, because it can be very frightening if we jump ahead.
Mm-hmm. Then it increases the ego actually also.
Yeah, the frightened ego.
Yeah. So that would be one example. Another example?
That we go to the other extreme of we're no good, we're the worst, other people are much better than us there, and we're gonna cancel ourselves in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one of the practices in Bodhichtta is also that you're trying, you're constantly concentrated on the qualities of other people and not focusing on their negative sides. Yeah, that's a good point. All of a sudden we see, well, everybody is so much better than I am. So then again, that increases the self-cherishing. What else? Situation. You see, so there's many traps in there here. Have you ever felt maybe superior because you're in the Mahayana vehicle to people in the Hinayana vehicle? Like, the Pali tradition and the Sanskrit tradition, as His Holiness stopped calling it Hinayana and Mahayana, because it means great vehicle and small vehicle. Have you ever felt like
No.
superior or never ever? Never ever.
Never, but I did feel superior sometimes to other people.
Yeah, okay. But we're talking about bodhicitta here,
Yeah.
So bodhicitta, putting the happiness of others before our own. We can become arrogant because of this. So that's the other extreme. As Tomer was saying, he was saying all of a sudden we feel totally terrible about ourselves, but we can also feel totally arrogant about ourselves. Yeah, Netta, what did you want to say?
I find it sometimes in myself, been criticizing maybe all the new age wave, which is very developing the inner happiness and
yeah. So this is it. Also, at one point, I think somebody in Israel told me when I was talking about bodhicitta, she said, "Well, that's quite arrogant, wanting to say I will help all sentient beings." And I was a bit taken aback. But then I thought, yeah, it has a kind of sting of arrogance in it, thinking that, whoa, I am capable of helping all other sentient beings. Then, of course, as a Buddha, you wouldn't have this anymore at all, this attitude, because everybody's, everybody's like your children. You don't feel arrogant wanting to help your children, isn't it, as a parent? So this is the attitude that we develop. And in one of the methods, it says that we have to think that all beings have been our mothers. If you hear that for the first time, it's like terrible. But then when we are actually practicing bodhicitta, you turn it around. You look at all beings as your children. You're not looking at all beings as your mother. Because in general, I think already at the time of the Buddha, the connection between, from parent to child is much more pure, much less self-cherishing than children to parent. You are very much concerned, very spontaneously, what your behavior is doing to your children if you're in your right mind. Of course, if you are addicted and you're drunk or full of drugs, then you don't care anymore. But the moment you get sober again, you feel bad, you feel ashamed. Whereas the kids, I don't think, now you have to think back when you were a child. Don't look at your own children because you don't know. We have to talk out of experience. When you were a child, were you concerned how your behavior influenced your parents? Or that you did things, of course we did things in order to please them, but did you do it for them or did you do it ultimately for you? Think about your childhood. Is your memory worse than mine that you don't?
I think as far as I can remember, I did things for them, and not only to please them, even to the point I could harm myself. But I stopped when I understand that it doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. because you wanted to help them in a way, because your parents were not well or something, or what? Or just...
Yes, you can say that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I understood I cannot help them by harming myself. I mean, I'm doing things that harm myself.
All right. Wow. Yeah. Sometimes you have situations where children seem to become the parents of their parents because they are. I'm not saying in your case, I don't know, because the parents are in such a bad state.
I didn't know anything about Buddhism at that time.
Yeah. I mean, many children do it, like especially when the parents are addicted. Again, I'm not saying Einat it's in your case, because I don't know. Or when the parents are depressed or suffering, or, then almost spontaneously, all the children, or one of the children, or they take the place of the parent, look after the younger children, and on top of it, look after the parent. Psychology says this is very unhealthy. I don't know, Netta, what do you think? Or maybe Ras also.
I think that in the beginning of life, it's very, very crucial that the child won't be bothered by the parents, but gradually, when they receive empathy and all the needs, the emotional needs, gradually, naturally, they become also aware and kind and to the parents also. But if it's forced on them too early, it's not good.
No, not so healthy. I mean, that's what psychology says. Yeah.
Not good by what means? What does it mean, not good? Sometimes you have to help your parents because they are sick. I don't know. They need help.
Talking
Even
about
if you are
children.
a child.
Dina, wait. We're talking about children here.
Even if you are a child.
What I'm trying to get at is, of course, as you say, now I'm talking about, there are situations where it's not sometimes, where it's all the time, that a child has to take the role of a parent when the parents are addicted, okay? Sometimes it is like this. And then, well, as I say, good, not good, where there's no other solution. But it's not a question of actually good or not good, you're right, in a way, but what I'm trying to get at something a little bit different. It's like, we learn all beings have, Ras, sorry. Yes.
Yes. I thought about container and contained. There is one psychoanalyst who is talking about the relation between the container and the contained, beyond. And he says that a parent should be the container, and the child supposed to be the contained.
Right.
And it's not supposed to be all the way around.
Yeah. Anyway, nature is like this also. Like in nature, it's like the parents who take care of the children. What I'm talking here is about attitude as a bodhisattva, okay? Although you learn in the method, all beings have been my mother, and I want to repay that kindness. When you then actually do it, it's good to change it and look at all sentient beings as your children, because in a natural way, parents are more concerned about their children than the children. I'm not talking about the grown-up children, okay? Than their children about the parent. Are you understanding what I'm trying to get at or not? Yeah, this is quite important. It's about attitude, okay? When you're a grown-up and then you see all sentient beings, because now we're talking about all sentient beings. So one of the reasons why we should have an open heart to all sentient beings, because one of the reasons is, as it says in developing Bodhichtta, that all beings have been my mother. Okay? So then out of that, one sees the kindness of the mother. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. We'll go through these two, or this afternoon. We'll go through these two methods. Okay? Yeah, whereas then a natural concern, of course, should also be there from children towards parents. But I have to say, when the parents are old and the children are grown up, that natural concern, you know, like giving the kindness back that one has received as a child, when the parents for hours and hours and hours play with us these really stupid games. You never see them play these games by themselves. They play it because they want you to be happy. So it looks a little bit as if a parent has more strength, more interest, maybe, I don't know, more altruism, more compassion towards the child than a child towards the parent. It should be, you know, again, we go into should. It would be wonderful. It would be, if it would be equal. But the equanimity we're trying to develop by thinking again and again and again and again and again about the kindness that we have received from our parents. And then we try to see them as if they are our children, then it's easier to be there for them. Because they also have been not only our mothers, they also have been our children, you know, many, many times, because we have been existing since beginningless lifetime. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Some of you. Does it make sense?
So you would suggest to maybe switch this practice, maybe not think about everyone as mothers, but think about everyone as our children. It will be more beneficial to generate this attitude.
Not switch. That all beings have been my mothers is very, very necessary to understand the kindness of the mother. But then when we see the kindness of the mother and the strength of the mother and the courage of the mother as a bodhisattva to become the mother to all sentient beings, to add it, actually I don't need to add it, because in some of the prayers you can really read, may I see all beings as my children, or something like that. Because the attitude is different.
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I find it sometimes difficult when you say that I understand that the role of the mother, and maybe it is easy to say, may all beings, you know, treat all beings like they were your children, because usually your love to your children is most of the time unconditional. But I find it hard for me to distinguish between situations where, for example, you help your parents a lot, but you do it out of obligation. Say they were not good to you or something like this. And I appreciate it if you could elaborate a little bit. Is it doing things out of obligation is bad or good, or how can you go from doing things out of obligation to doing things, let's say to your parents even, but really genuinely because you want to do it? And the reason I'm asking is because I can give example for myself. I mean, I did not have a good childhood, and not even when I grew up. But whenever my mom or my father were like sick, I always went there and helped them and did everything. But I know I did it out of obligation, because I had to do it, not because I really want to do it. And at a certain point, I was in a retreat about the mothers, and the Buddhist teacher, he said that in Buddhism, the biggest crime is to kill your parents, and you have to be good to your parents and even only appreciate the fact that they gave you life. And we had a meditation, and I was doing this meditation every morning, and one day I really started crying. And because I understood, that my mother was not good to us because she just wanted to be loved, and she didn't know how to, she didn't believe that she deserved it, and she had like a bad way asking for it. And since then, I really forgave her. And I think also the way she behaved towards me when I was growing up, like, for example, if I don't call her, she complains. She called me and complains, you know, in the answering machine, why you didn't call me and say blah, blah, blah. And after this, she started calling me and said, Dina, I'm really worried about you. I didn't hear from you. All her attitude was changed when I changed the way I felt towards her, when I forgave her. So can you elaborate about this obligation and versus genuinely doing from the heart?
I don't think I need to elaborate because you just explained the whole thing actually. And you made my point much clearer that, you know, very often as a child, you're not thinking so much about, you know, the kindness of the mother, and you do things because it's your mother and you do it out of obligation. And of course, the one who is on the receiving side, they feel it also, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
when somebody comes to help you, again, turn the whole thing around. You are on the receiving end, and somebody comes to help you, but you feel that, well, they don't really feel like it. They just do it because they think they have to. It's not so nice, you know, because there's no love, there's no interest involved. Whereas a parent, again, I'm talking about so-called normal parent, you know, whereas a parent, even if they are tired and weak or old or whatever, if they can help their children, I think there's more joy. There's less obligation. Again, you know, I'm sure there's exceptions, right? But there's less obligation. With parents, it comes more spontaneously. And very often, you know, when we haven't heard about Mahayana Buddhism and about the kindness of the mother, me also, I thought I had every reason and every right to hate my mother because I did hate. Yeah, and she wasn't even bad to me. She was just not interested enough. So my brother and me, we kind of grew up ourselves. And we had a neighbor woman who was very kind, and she was more kind of my mother. Like the feelings I had towards that neighbor woman was much more, you know, child mother feeling than towards my own mom. And it took Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism to make me understand, you know, because when I heard this for the first time, and I had to meditate like Dina, maybe a little bit, I had to meditate on the kindness of my mother. I was angry. I was saying, like, what are they talking about? They don't know how my mother was and who she is and how she didn't care about us. And, you know, I didn't even go that far to say, but she didn't harm us. Maybe, you know, maybe indirectly, but she didn't beat us. She didn't, you know, she gave us always money so we could go and buy for food, and we learned to cook. We became very independent. You see, I didn't see the benefit of having such a mother. I only saw the disadvantage, right? I've become very independent very early. I was able to leave home at 15 and look after myself. So because I had such an unprotected child, independent, I was talking about independence before. So when I heard this for the first time, it's like, I thought, like, no way, you know. But then when the arguments come, you know, she did look after you when you were a baby. This she did. I can't remember, but she must have done it because otherwise I would have died. And I went like, shit, this is true. I wasn't happy hearing it. Yeah? And then also slowly, the attitude towards my mom changed. So when I called her, I was living in India. So when I called her, I didn't just call her every 2 months because it was still very expensive at that time. Can you imagine? You would call somebody only every 2 months because you have to go to a phone office and it's very expensive and all this. And people were happy with this 30 years ago because there was no mobile phone, no computers, no email, no nothing. It was okay. I would call her, but it was more, as Dina says, out of obligation. And slowly, with lots of meditation, Dina, isn't it? It doesn't come after the first meditation. Anyway, maybe. So after lots of meditations, or after just one?
No, many days.
Yeah. After many meditations, and it's funny what you're saying. The same thing happened to me. I was sitting in meditation, not even thinking about the kindness of my mother. I was doing a tantric retreat, but then kind of all of a sudden my mother was present, and all of a sudden I could see her suffering, being locked into her self-cherishing and only seeing herself and not seeing other people. And as Dina, I started crying. And then I called her, loving her, it might be a big word, quite honestly, but I was able to call her without resistance. I was able to listen to her without saying, nah, that's not true, and I don't agree with you. And I just listened. And then all of a sudden, at one point, I think it was the first time in her life, she asked me, what are you doing? How are you doing? I tell you, I almost fainted, in Dharamkot, in the phone booth, in the STD office. And I didn't know what to say. Because as you can see, I can share quite freely my problems and my failures and my joys and my happinesses. I couldn't share it with my mom because she never asked about what I'm doing. She didn't even notice that I had become a nun. She only thought that my haircut had become quite cool, quite groovy. So she would ask her hairdresser about the same haircut. It's like, so you could get very hurt at this, but I was used to this, that she doesn't see me, and so that was okay. I wasn't. So my attitude towards my mom has really, really changed, thanks to Mahayana Buddhism, for that. And I could clear it up before she died. The hate, the aversion towards my mom, before just, that she would say, I come visit you, I would go like, oh no. It's like, why? Well, leave me alone. It was like this. And then it had changed, and before she died, and I was really, really happy to do that. I was even able to thank her that she had given me this body, because maybe she has given me only this body. I tell you, this body is very precious, because with this body I can practice Dharma now, right? So even if the rest I had to figure out myself with the help of other people, but she gave me this body. It's good enough. This is what Tibetan Buddhism would say. It's a big present that your mom gives you, because you see, I always had the attitude, I don't want children. I can't be bothered with children. Thank you very much. So I didn't give a body to anybody in this life. So please, if you don't have children now, don't feel bad about this. It's okay. So it took a long time, and so why I'm saying that when we develop bodhicitta and we look at others, and I'm not just saying on the cushion, but when we're out there in daily life and we have direct contact with people, I mean, you have to try it out, what works better for you. You see, for me, it works better than when somebody is creating me a problem or something, and I think, how would I behave as a bodhisattva now? This is my child. It creates a different reaction than if I think, oh, she has been my mom. Because the aspect of wanting to protect her and not wanting to harm her, for me, is more natural in a parent-child direction than child-parent. Yes, Hila, do you want to say something?
No, for me, I still feel aversion towards my mother. And I mean, this Buddhist way of looking at all beings as my mother is not easy for me. It's easier for me to imagine that everyone is my child, and then I can feel some love and compassion. Yeah. With my mother, it's not so working yet. I mean, to the thing of forgiving, I feel it has some layers, Sometimes I feel that I forgive, but sometimes I feel no, it's not finished yet. I still have some conflict connected to her, because my mother, she used to beat me. It's not like she was ignoring me. And so it's like, it's hard. I'm thinking, okay, she gave me this life and I feel grateful for this life, really, since I'm in Buddhism. But in a ברמה אישית, how do you say it in English? The relationship with her is not easy, you know.
Yeah, I know, and it's normal.
I can't find love toward her.
Yeah.
Toward her.
I could also not find love for my mother, but at least she didn't make me nervous anymore or upset me. So that was already quite a big step. Now your step has to be much bigger and much longer, because as I said, my mom didn't harm me. She was just not interested enough. But don't forget, you know, when they say all beings have been your mother, the problem is that we only remember one mother. So I think there also it's good to add something, because even this mother in your life was not being a good mother in this life, because we've had so many lives. At one point, she has been a good mother to you. Yeah. So the problem is that when we use that argument for developing bodhicitta, that all beings have been my mother, we think about the mother in this life, and we don't take into consideration that also this mother in this life, who didn't have the capacity or the conditions to be a good mother, at another point, she's not been my mom just once. She's been my mom many, many, many times, because the mind exists since beginningless times. Then we let go of that mom that makes us tense, and we think even that one has been a good mother. And to see what a good mother does or is good to see parents when they are with their children, like good parents, when they are with their children, they go, even this mother in this life, she wasn't so great, right? But in another life, she was okay. So why only concentrate on this life? Because I can only remember this life. And there was somebody at one point, it's somebody at one point who told me, you know, I really also disliked my dad. But since I have children, I understand his feelings, and I don't hate him anymore, because I understand what it means to be a father and to having to protect your unruly children. Yes, Edouard.
Yes, so two points. The first one about mothers, and that's kind of balances what we talked earlier about, you know, the verse that you mentioned, may I be reborn, may all sentient be reborn as men and not women. So I guess that in a sense here, it really balances the act. You know, who's important? The mothers are. You just mentioned the father, but who's really important? I guess the mothers are basically the givers of life.
Yeah.
And that's one. And the second thing is, I agree that also for me it works better to look at the sentient beings as children. It's easier than mothers, although my relationship with my mother, I had the chance to grow with a loving mother, and yet it's easier for me to look toward the children's side, and maybe because if we look at our parents and we see them, if when they die, it hurts. Mm-hmm. But that's the normal state of things. Mm-hmm. If we think of our children, mm-hmm. and if something happens to a child, we look at it as the abnormal state of things. Right. It's much more difficult to accept the death of a child than to accept the death of a parent. I mean, our relationship towards this very strong part of life is very different.
Yeah, that's a good point also. But the thing is also, we're not supposed to look at just one lifetime. Like we're more looking at attitude, right? So, when we, like people our age now, when we talk about mothers, all you have in your head is like an old mother, except for maybe Tomer, right? Tomer, how old is your mom?
She's 67.
So she still functions quite well, doesn't she? I guess. Yeah, right. So whereas us others here, or maybe also Netta, your mom is how old, Netta?
She's 82. She's
okay.
old enough.
Yeah, so then when we talk about mothers, you see, we have this image of an old mother, because that's how the mother is now. But when we think all beings have been our mothers, then we think about the caring mothers, the mothers who took care of us, and not the other way round. Because now, you know, our old parents become more or less like our children, because they need, as Hila was saying and as Dina was saying, because they need help, right?
But
Because
why talk about mother? Why talk about mother? Why not talk about motherhood? Motherhood. I mean, even the neighbor can be the function of the mother, and it will be the motherhood that you carry with you.
Yeah, we could. So it would create less problems, but it is, as Edouard is saying,
yes.
In order to be alive, I need not a motherhood, and the neighbor, I need a mother. Until now, maybe, you know, maybe in the future, then we only need labs and all this to have to have a body and to have life. But for the moment, it is still quite. Now we need a mom. And in general, again, you know, we have to look at it a little bit in a general way. Maybe the neighbor, you know, the mother's interest to come to help you when you need help is bigger than the neighbor's help. Again, but there's always exception. Yeah.
But I think there is. I think there is something. There is a problem with this approach. I mean that you need to have a man to become a mother. You cannot become a mother on your own.
Yeah, of course, also. But still, it is the mother who says, "I will abort," or I will have the baby. It's still the mother, and it's the mother who goes through pregnancy, the pain of birth, and all this. His Holiness always says, females have biologically more strength and more courage, and to protect their children. And he was always talking about this duck, you know, this duck family. Sometimes he tells the story when he was in Norbulinka in the summer palace where there's a lake, and he could see, you know, the mother duck having the little ones, and the dad, you know, always protecting them, and the dad kind of flying off somewhere. But again, you know, these are just examples. It's not 100% only like this, and it's not 100% or not like this also.
Yes. Because you will have this situation when,
you know, maybe it's also, sorry for cutting you, maybe it's also, again, you know, don't forget, these texts come from long ago, when the mother was home, when the mother was not out working. Yeah, and so now also this is changing. You see women going to work and the dad staying at home, the dad getting up at night when the child is crying. But then there's one more other thing. The mother has a breast, which the dad doesn't have. And this is so unfair, I tell you. This is so unfair when you have a crying baby and you're not the mom. You have to do so much for the baby to stop crying. As a mom, you just take your breast out, you let the baby have his milk, and very often it calms down. So as a non-mother, I always found this very unfair when I was trying to kind of calm down crying babies.
But what happened?
Huh?
What happened when the mother is giving life, but she's not protecting her child? Like families that the father is not a good father, and the mother knows it, but she doesn't protecting the child.
I'm not so sure. Of course, you know, again, physiologically, a man is stronger than a woman. But if you look, when there's danger, the little children, where do they run to mom or dad in general?
It depends.
Depends, but look, try to observe.
Mom.
Mom.
The mom, yeah. They tend to run to the mother, even though the dad is maybe more, is more strong. Of course, you need both. It's not, we can also say all beings have been our mothers. So we can't really change the text. So it's good that I think it's good that we're discussing it. Why is it that it's only mothers and why not fathers and this and that? And yeah. Anybody else has opinions? Yes, Hila. Yeah.
But also another thing is that it's my karma to be born to such a mother, right?
Yeah.
No?
That's a good point. When you think about
it's like
karma, it is easier to develop bodhicitta also for all beings. Yeah.
It's challenging. It's not easy. It's not easy because I have to bring love and bodhicitta, even though she was so cruel to me. I mean, this is like the practice, right? Like,
but also,
like
then it's a good point. So don't force yourself with, with your mom if it's not working. Try to first see, like, for example, when I think mother, I think about my neighbor, the lady that was our neighbor. Then my heart opens. You see, the whole point of this argument, all beings have been your mother. If your mother was no good in this life, not this mother, a mother from another life, right? So
I'm thinking about my grandfather.
Yeah, for example. So your mom at one point was like your grandfather. So you see, when we think about all beings have been my mother, the heart should open and we should have a feeling of, oh, totally relaxed, totally feel accepted, totally feel seen, like this, right? So that's the point. But if your mother has been beating you, of course you cannot think that all beings have been like my mother from this life. This is not going to work. And especially you will not be able to open up your heart towards your own mother because you feel forced into feeling compassion for somebody that your ego is saying, no way, she does not deserve it. And then it becomes, like Dina was saying, an obligation, and then it's not working.
But then I'm thinking of His Holiness. He tells a story. I heard it a few times. He was telling it about a monk, a Tibetan monk who was in the Chinese prison, and he was talking about the danger of losing his bodhicitta to the Chinese people over there. This was the danger for him. The great danger was to lose his bodhicitta. So it's like, even to this mother, I should bring up bodhicitta and to forgive her, right?
Yeah, right.
No.
Again, we can take the children parent kind of thing. If your parent beats you, or if your child beats you as the mother, in which case would it be easier to forgive?
It's easier to forgive the child, of course.
So there again,
if I understand the question right.
This is why I think it's good not just to go in one direction, but also to see all beings as your mom, as your children. This is what I'm trying to get at here. Yeah. But then again, we turn the whole thing around when we start to see, okay, it's easier for a mother to forgive the child. That means the love of a mother is less conditional than the love of a child. For a child to love her mother, the mother has to be a certain way. Maybe. Again, not always, okay? But for a mother to love her child, not necessarily the child has to be a certain way. Of course, your parents have lots of expectations how you should be, and you know how the kids should be, what they should do, and all this, and then they seem to be disappointed, but they still love you. Yeah. Instead of thinking that I had a bad karma.
It's unconditional.
Yeah, it's much less unconditional. So Dina is writing, instead of thinking that I had bad karma to be born to this mother, I think I was lucky because I taught me to be much better mother to my kids, for example. Yeah. And I'm also not going, oh, the bad karma to be born to my mom. I just, but also it's not so good to go like bad karma, good karma, because we don't know, Is it good karma? What is really, what can we call good karma, bad, when we take these two words, good and bad? A so-called bad karma can lead to something really good because you had to work, and the compassion then you have for your mom, if you succeed at one point, is much purer than people, for example, they go and see their mom and they don't even see that they do it out of obligation, right? So that they really start to work at it, for example, and then it changes. So also it's like, but it's good to think, I have created the conditions to be born to that being. Let me see what I can do with this situation. This would be a good way to talk about karma. Not so much, oh, good karma, bad karma, and all this, right? It's to say
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to do.
Exactly. We have a connection to this being through previous lives, through previous actions. Now, I don't want to go into, probably I have beaten her as well. Don't go there. It's not working. And that's not the purpose. We mustn't go, what we Westerners, we love to do this when something negative or something difficult happens to us. We kind of go, oh, I wonder what I have done in the past in order to deserve such a difficult situation. Already the word deserve does not fit here, because karma is not a reward and punishing system. It's just law of cause and effect. We are attracted into certain situations so that these potentials can ripen. This is all. And it's not the point. We don't need to know what we have done. We just see that this situation is not so satisfactory. Then the thing, may I never do this to somebody else, and may I be able to purify my negative karma that I still have on my mind stream, and create some positive energy. And that's it. This situation, because of course you can learn a lot from parents who are not kind, and you can grow tremendously. Oh, but I wouldn't wish that for anybody, just because they might be able to grow. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Of course, we can turn every situation around in something kind of helpful or positive or virtuous can come out of it. But still, one would wish for beings to have parents that are looking after the children in a proper way, because it's also nature, isn't it? Yeah. So like this. But when you are in that situation that your parents were not exactly the way you wanted them, then you need to see the best what you can make of it. And don't push too hard. This is also with Bodhichtta. Sometimes I'm seeing people are pushing far too hard, to be able to love everybody. We're in training. So we start with the small ones, and we start actually with the 4 immeasurables. Yeah, this is what we start with. First, just the attitude. May all beings be happy. May they never be. May they be free from suffering, and so forth. So maybe to end this session, we can do a reflection on the 4 immeasurables, because the 4 immeasurables, you all know them. Yeah. If I use words that you don't know, but if I look who is participating, then I know that you know. But if I use words that you don't know or you don't understand, please let me know. So if you, that's the first step, to kind of even out the mind a bit, just to not to do anything, just to develop the attitude. And we always start with ourselves, which is also very difficult for Westerners. You know, Buddhists, because they know they have Buddha nature, they know that they are okay at the bottom, they kind of, it's okay for them. I deserve to be happy because that's my nature. They don't feel egoistic about this, but not more happy than other people. They're not going, everybody should be happy but me because I'm so bad and I don't deserve to be happy. They don't have these kind of attitudes. So when we do this, we start with somebody that we naturally, very instinctively, the heart opens. So do you want to do this like 15 minutes and then we go for the lunch break? Is that okay? It's good if you can, you know, stand up, maybe stretch a little bit, relax. You know, again, remind yourself, nobody's forcing you to do anything. You are, you know, Bodhichtta is something that we decide, I want to develop it. As Hila was saying, Dina was saying, yes, it's difficult. If it would be easy, we would be Buddhas long ago. And because we're still in samsara also means we're not the best of the students. Because so many have been able to, you know, to develop it and to become fully awakened. We are still here. Or maybe you are all enlightened and I am not. And for my benefit, you listen to my babbling on here. And so that I create the merit. Who knows? I don't know. I can tell you for sure, I am not a Buddha. I have potential. I trust it. I believe in it. But, you know, it's covered. But it doesn't matter. I'm not depressed about it. I don't find it, oh, this is terrible. No. The main thing is that I have this potential. So let's connect with that again. That longing for lasting happiness is our Buddha potential calling. Longing to be free from suffering, frustrations, stress, insecurity. Be free from having, you know, grasping onto wrong views that our mind, although intellectually knows it, but instinctively it still is grasping onto this I, this me, this self. Who doesn't want to see the connection I have with others. And who thinks I have to be the best. But also this, again, this longing to be free from suffering. This is my birthright, as the Dalai Lama said. And to be happy that we have methods, means, conditions, to be able to bring to the surface this Buddha potential that is hidden. That's all we have to do at the moment. No forcing, no pushing, not wanting to attain enlightenment in one lifetime or in, you know, one weekend. Only to be happy that we are exposed to these methods. That maybe from your own experience you have already almost with wonder seen, wow, this works. So since you're all advanced, we will start with ourselves because now we feel that longing. You just repeat the words and whatever sensation arises, let it arise. Don't manipulate anything. Or don't think, you know, I can't do this because I don't feel anything. So again, connect with the feeling, wanting to be happy with the sensation, and to be free from suffering, uncertainty, frustration, stress, and all the rest. Then you should think, wouldn't it be wonderful if I had happiness and the causes for happiness? Just let it be, just a thought. May I have happiness and causes for happiness. May I be at ease, joyful, free from fear. Then we make a promise to ourselves. I will do whatever I can, whatever lies in my possibilities, without pushing, without judging, without expectation, to make myself happy and have the causes of happiness. We see how difficult that is. Even though we have and we feel the spontaneous wish to be happy, we make a promise to do whatever we can to be happy and have the causes for happiness, and yet we do quite a lot of other things that creates the opposite. So it's okay. Think about your guru now, or the Buddha, or Resig, or Mara, and we ask for blessings and inspirations. Because you see that also, we think that, we always say, oh, this is so difficult. Because we don't tap into the resources of the minds who are already enlightened. And these Buddhas, they're always with us. They're always there, but we have to remember them. Please inspire me or bless me to be able to do so. That's love, loving kindness. Compassion feels a bit different. So again, try to experience the difference between may I be happy, may I be well, joyful, at ease, love, and then compassion. So you think about your frustration, your struggle. It's what I was saying, we're constantly struggling. Yeah, we're constantly struggling for what? To give it all up at the end of our life. It's so unsatisfying. So feel that compassion for yourself. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I would be free from suffering and the causes of suffering? And it's not just physical suffering, I'm talking especially about mental suffering. And again and again and again being pushed by our habits and tendencies to create more potentials to not find what I want to find. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I were free from suffering and the causes of suffering? May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. I will do whatever lies in my possibilities to free myself from suffering and the causes of suffering, without pushing, without judging. You see, we just changed the automatic pilot in our brain by repeating these thoughts and making a decision. I will do whatever I can not to create more causes for suffering, and causes of suffering, and to liberate myself from suffering and causes of suffering. Then yes, this is difficult and it's hard. It's frustrating sometimes because we want, but we can't. So please, Buddha, Guru, inspire me to be able to do so. Okay, the next one is joy. You become aware that, when you think about all the things you've done that are well done, like, for example, your Dharma practice, over all these years, wow, you could have given up long ago. That's wonderful. Think about the qualities you have. And we think especially about the potential that we have to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And it's a potential that we can never, ever lose, no matter how covered it is. Because it's our nature. Like, as long as there's water, there will be wetness. As long as there is mind, there is the pure nature, which has as an ingredient spaciousness, goodness, intelligence. That all comes with it. That's natural. That's why it feels good. So the joy that we have a choice, and we have the possibility never to be separate from the happiness that knows no suffering. We can attain liberation and enlightenment. Everybody can. Means me also. And then we come to equanimity, the biggest hindrance for bodhicitta. Once that one is evened out, then the path will be quite smooth. But we're constantly thrown around by this one I like, this one I dislike, this one I care about. Attachment, aversion, and indifference. Think, may I be free from these mental poisons that create enemies, friends, strangers? You can just end this meditation with the thought, may I see all beings as I would look upon my children, with the same attitude, in the same way. Whatever I can do to help them, I do, but I also leave them the space so that they can develop themselves. They don't belong to me. I see all beings as my children, but in a just, conventional way. May I not look at anybody with either too much attachment, aversion, or indifference. And just allow the ego now to either rebel and freak out, say, what? It doesn't mean everybody at the same time. It just means all beings who come into my presence. And you don't need to be able to do this. We are training to do this. This is why the may I see all beings as my children. With a very spontaneous thought, never to inflict harm on them. And if I can help to help them, and ultimately lead them to the state of full awakening. And just experience what is going on in your body, because the emotions, we feel them there. Don't manipulate anything, don't expect anything. Just keep repeating that wish. And then slowly, slowly the mind transforms. May I see all beings as my children. If they're very aggressive or harming, may I be able to stop them without causing them any harm. The same way I would want to stop my children from being aggressive without causing them any harm. Okay. Thank you so much. Now is lunch break until your time, I think 2:30, yeah? And then we continue a little bit until a little bit before 4. And we'll go more into these methods, how to develop bodhicitta. And, you know, as Raz was saying, why can't I just think like this? Why do I have to think mother? You don't have to think. This is the nice thing about Buddhism. It gives you clues. And then when you see, oh, just that doesn't work at all, you're going to find something else that works better. Yeah. Because this whole thing about mother, for many beings, I mean, many, for quite a few beings, it is difficult because they have been treated in a negative way from their mothers or fathers, or, you know, and if father works better than mother, by all means, you know, the main thing is that when you think like this, your heart softens and you want to repay the kindness. So that's one thing. It's good that you find whatever works for you. Sometimes, though, it's also good just to try again, you know, yes, but it's good to trust these methods and to then keep pushing a little bit, even though it doesn't work, but just a little bit. So it's like, it's complicated. It's complicated. It's not easy. Everybody agrees. I don't know why we're always surprised when we notice that it's not easy. It is not easy. So don't be surprised when you find out it's difficult. It's okay. It's difficult, but it's possible. And this is, I think this is what we need to be connected with. It's difficult, yeah, okay. So that we don't underestimate the task that we have in front of us. You know, we're not getting careless. And we think, yeah, but it's possible. And this is what I want, you know. And to not forget, we are just in training. Yeah, we are training. We're not, nobody's asking you to be able to do this. We train and train and train until it works. And that's it. Okay? So please enjoy your lunch. Again, see the connection that you have with what is in your plate, with many, 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 many other beings, including Mother Earth. Please say, this is, I'm really asking you, please say thank you for people having grown your vegetables or your whatever you're eating, your tofu, or, you know, fabricate, transported them, packed them, brought them to your plate, the whole thing. And you will see then it doesn't matter so much anymore. what is in your plate. Also, if you can, offer it to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to create the merit. You offer it now with Bodhichtta, meaning I offer this food to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on behalf of all beings who have been at one point or many points my kind mother, and I give away the merit from my offering to them, so that as quickly as possible they can attain enlightenment. Yeah, so again, for us, it's words, but the words then change into habits and tendencies. Yeah? Okay. And please enjoy your lunch, because, all these beings who have worked so hard for your lunch, and then you not enjoying it, it's a complete waste of their effort. And you don't want to do it. You owe it to them that you enjoy it. But then understand it's thanks to them that I'm enjoying it. And also I can enjoy it. Why? Because I have a body. If I wouldn't have a body, I could not enjoy the food. Yeah. Why do I have a body? Thank you, mommy. Thank you, daddy. Okay, great. And I see you again at 2:30. Bye.
Thank you, Losang Lam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.